A brave bear finds a lost baby in the deep forest and unexpectedly becomes its protector. From facing wild predators to keeping the baby safe from the harsh cold, the bear shows courage and compassion in ways no one could imagine. The journey takes a thrilling turn as the bear tries to reunite the baby with its family while navigating countless dangers. What happens next will leave you amazed. To find out the rest of this heartwarming story, don't forget to subscribe to World of the Jungle and stay tuned for the full adventure. Don't miss it. In the heart of an untamed forest, where towering trees whispered secrets and streams sang quiet lullabies, a bear named Bramble lived a solitary life. Known for his immense strength and wise old eyes, Bramble was respected by every creature in the forest. He roamed the woods in search of food, his massive paws making no sound as he moved. Yet despite his powerful presence, Bramble carried a gentle soul, one that had never been tested until the day his world changed forever. It was a quiet evening when Bramble, drawn by an unusual sound, came upon a sight that would alter the course of his life. There, nestled among the ferns, lay a tiny human baby, abandoned and alone. The baby's cries echoed through the stillness, its tiny arms reaching out in desperate need of care. Bramble's instincts told him to walk away, yet something inside him stirred. The bear, often solitary and fierce, found himself captivated by the helpless child. What happened next would shock everyone. Instead of retreating, Bramble did something that no one, least of all the animals of the forest, could have expected. With a tenderness only a few could understand, the mighty bear picked up the child in his large paws and cradled it to his chest, vowing silently to protect this fragile life at all costs. From that moment on, Bramble's journey with the baby would be one of survival, compassion, and an unlikely bond that would leave even the forest's most seasoned creatures in awe. Bramble's heart raced as he gently cradled the baby, its soft cries piercing the quiet evening air. The forest, usually so comforting, suddenly felt overwhelming. The mighty bear, known for his strength and fearlessness, now found himself in uncharted territory. He was not sure how to care for a human baby, but something deep within him told him this was a responsibility he could not ignore. The baby, no longer crying, seemed to sense Bramble's care. It curled up in his large, warm paws, comforted by the heat of his body. The bear took careful steps, ensuring he didn't move too quickly or shake the baby. He decided to carry the little one to his den, a hidden cave tucked away behind thick vines. Bramble had lived alone for years, but tonight, the cave would become a home for two. As they traveled through the forest, Bramble couldn't help but notice how the trees seemed to loom more menacingly now. He had always walked these paths with confidence, but now, each shadow and rustle in the underbrush sent a wave of unease through him. He was carrying something incredibly precious, a life so small and vulnerable. As he moved deeper into the woods, he found himself becoming hyper-aware of every sound. The whisper of the wind in the trees, the distant calls of night animals, all made him feel exposed. The journey was long, and Bramble began to worry. What would he do if danger appeared? How could he protect the baby from the wild creatures of the forest? But as the thought crossed his mind, a quiet, reassuring hum escaped from his chest. Without even realizing it, he was singing, a deep, comforting melody that seemed to soothe the baby. The cries stopped, and the baby fell into a peaceful sleep, nestled in the safety of Bramble's fur. Bramble carried the baby to the den, his large, muscular body moving with surprising grace. The entrance to the cave was hidden behind thick vines and shrubs, a secret place even the most curious forest creatures had never discovered. Inside, the den was dry and warm, the walls lined with soft moss. Bramble carefully laid the baby down on the moss bed he had created. The child, now safe, slept soundly as Bramble sat watchful by its side, his keen eyes scanning the dark forest for any signs of danger. For the next few days, Bramble devoted himself entirely to the care of the baby. He learned quickly what the little one needed. The baby liked the sweetness of crushed berries, the warmth of Bramble's fur, and the sound of his deep hum. The bear foraged for food in the early mornings, gathering fruits, honey, and fish from the stream. He didn't know much about babies, but he instinctively knew to keep the child warm and protected. Bramble had never been one to seek help from others, but this new responsibility made him realize that he couldn't do everything alone. One morning, as he wandered the forest in search of food, he encountered a wise old owl perched high on a branch. The owl, who had seen many seasons pass in the forest, eyed Bramble with a knowing gaze. "You have taken in the human child," the owl remarked. "The forest has never seen such a thing. Do you truly think you can protect it from what lies beyond the trees?" Bramble nodded solemnly, feeling the weight of the owl's words. "I must try," he rumbled. "The forest is no longer just my home. It is the child's, too." The owl, sensing Bramble's determination, offered a few words of advice. "There are dangers you cannot face alone. Look to the other creatures of the forest. They will help you if you ask." Bramble didn't fully understand, but he felt a new sense of unity growing inside him. He had always lived as a solitary figure, but now he was part of something bigger, a protector of something precious. As days turned to weeks, Bramble and the baby grew closer. Bramble would gently bathe the child in the cool stream, watching as it splashed in the water with laughter. The forest animals, once skeptical of Bramble's actions, began to see his commitment and offered their help. The rabbit brought herbs for the baby's health, while the birds would keep watch over the cave, singing songs of warning when danger approached. Slowly, the forest seemed to embrace the little human. One evening, as Bramble wandered farther from his den in search of food, he encountered a pack of wolves. Their sharp eyes glinted with hunger as they circled Bramble. The leader of the pack, a large, scarred wolf, stepped forward, growling low. "You've crossed into our territory," the wolf snarled, "and now you carry a human. Do you think we will let that stand?" Bramble stood tall, his massive form blocking the path to the den. He let out a roar that shook the ground, his deep voice echoing through the forest. The wolves paused, uncertain. Bramble's growl became a low, rumbling hum, the same soothing tune he had sung to the baby. Surprisingly, the sound calmed the wolves, and one by one, they backed away. The leader of the pack, recognizing the bear's strength and resolve, nodded. "We will let you pass this time, bear," he said, his voice laced with respect. "But remember, the forest has rules." With that, the wolves disappeared into the shadows, and Bramble returned to his den, more determined than ever to protect the baby. As time passed, the baby grew stronger. It laughed and crawled, reaching for the berries Bramble gathered. It even learned to call out Bramble's name in its tiny voice. The bond between them deepened. Bramble was not just a protector, he was a friend, a guardian, and a source of warmth. One day, while exploring near the edge of the forest, Bramble came across a group of humans. They were searching, calling the baby's name. The mother, her eyes filled with worry, seemed on the verge of despair. Bramble, hidden in the underbrush, felt a pang of sorrow. He knew it was time to return the child. That night, under the cover of darkness, Bramble made his decision. He carefully placed the baby near the human's camp, stepping back into the shadows to watch. The mother, hearing the baby's faint cries, rushed forward, her face lighting up with joy. "My child," she exclaimed, her voice breaking with emotion as she gathered the baby into her arms. Bramble watched from the forest, his heart swelling with a bittersweet pride. The baby had returned to its family, but Bramble knew that the bond they shared would never fade. He had done what no one expected. A mighty bear had become a protector, a guardian, and a true friend to a fragile human life. And as the humans left the forest, carrying the child back to their home, Bramble stood in the shadows, a silent protector. His journey had come full circle, but the forest would always remember the bear who saved a life and the unspoken promise he had made to protect it.